All right, let's talk some Game 7. Pacers, Knicks. Indiana wins 130-109 at MSG. So many layers to go over with this, but let's just start with the Pacers.
Yeah.
First things first.
Congrats.
Well, congrats to them and their fans, but you think
God.
about the fact that after Game 5, they lose that game by 30. They're down 3-2 in that series. They win the next two in convincing fashion. You force a Game 7. You go to Madison Square Garden. All the energy in that building, and their stars showed up tonight. Tyrese Haliburton came out of the gates, and it was special. We were both watching one of the first plays we saw, and they talked about on the broadcast too, is he passed up what I looked like an open lane to the basket, and it was a tough pass. And you're like, he's got to go score that ball.
Like, why wasn't he looking to score on that possession, right?
And then right after that, a switch hit, and he was like, bang, three, bang, three, bang, three. It was a special performance.
It really was. And I'm so glad that that was the type of game that was coming out of him, because I didn't want the angles and the narrative of what we were talking about today, even if the Pacers had won. But why didn't Tyrese step up? You know, and it felt like Tyrese stepping up and Siakam stepping up super early in this one really set the tone for the rest of the team. I don't know if it was like contagious, and that's why everyone was making every goddamn shot there was taken by the Pacers. But either way, Tyrese Haliburton in a Game 7 at Madison Square Garden. I think you and I talked about this. Like, what are the Pacers going to look like? But what was Tyrese Haliburton going to look like? Like, just you don't know. It's his first Game 7, and what a star. He shined, and he did exactly what this team needed from him.
He finished with 26 points in 33 minutes, 10 of 17 shooting. He was 6 of 12 from downtown. The shooting today by the Pacers was just absurd. In that first quarter, they were 16 of 21. They were 7 of 9 from 3, and they led 39-27. You're like, wait, is it because the Knicks are turning the ball over like crazy? The Knicks did not have a turnover in the first quarter. It was just beautiful offense. And sure, you go, hey, they're going to keep shooting like this. But they were also getting great looks. It was like the offense was functioning at such a high level with the off-ball movement.
It was flowing. It was art. And you talk about the off-ball movement. Everyone understood their assignment of how they were going to move without the basketball. I mean, I'm telling you, it didn't matter if it was TJ with the ball coming through the paint and then seeing people just kind of relocate to the three-point line, and then just, you know, move somewhere else on the baseline, and just kind of going in this simple flow of things. And it felt like it was that easy for the Pacers offense every time down. Now, what I will say about that too, because I think this was something you and I were kind of discussing while watching this game, it was like, yeah, everything's going so well for the Pacers. And not only are they making shots, and obviously that's going to bring some sort of energy out of them on the offensive end and on the defensive end, but it also felt like the Knicks weren't doing a good job of disrupting, right? But even on, and I know we'll get more into that though, Deuce, but I guess my point is with the Pacers, they were capitalizing on the Knicks not pushing back, not disrupting, not resisting, and keeping them out of the paint.
Yeah, and going into this game, when you find out Josh Hart's playing with the ab strain, and then you find out, oh my God, OG is playing for the first time since Game 2. What's it going to look like? OG ends up only playing 5 minutes in this game. And those 5 minutes, yeah, he knocked down 2 threes, but you could just tell he was not moving right. And there were 2 defensive plays early. And I love seeing what they did. The Pacers did. They tried to go at him early. Siakam, little post up with him. And OG had no shot. OG just could not move to contest it. And then in transition, they got a transition 3. It was a late contest by OG because a guy, his hamstring was a mess.
And there was another one too. I think Siakam came across the middle around the high post. Maybe he did it even off the handle. And it was just that beautiful mid-range shot that you're used to from Pascal Siakam. But the thing is, there was so much space because OG wasn't even putting his arms up. You know, like it was the entire contest of just like his energy and where his body was in this game. It wasn't there. And, you know, what a fighter, what a trooper trying to fight through and come out and play. But yeah, I'm glad that they didn't try anymore.
So he only played for 5 minutes. We'll talk more next. But I thought the Pacers, as this series went on, we had called for a couple of things. more aggressiveness from Haliburton and more aggressiveness from Siakam and some isolations for Pascal Siakam. We saw more of that the last couple of games, and Siakam exposed some of these mismatches. That's the problem when you looked at where the Knicks were with all their injuries, no OG, no Robinson, the list goes on, Randall, blah, blah, blah. The Knicks just felt so small out there with times, especially once they put McBride in that starting lineup. Man, you got Turner and Siakam out there. That's just a tough cover. It's like, all right, so we're going to put Hartenstein on Siakam. It's not ideal. And then Josh Hart's got to be on Turner.
Yep.
He's got to help sometimes. And then the low man is like Jalen Brunson trying to defend Turner. It was a mess.
And where I give so much credit to the Pacers on this, it's because so many people in their storyline can be justifying, the Knicks, they were beating up, they were down every single guy. And like, obviously that's going to be an angle. But what the Pacers did such a great job of was not only just playing their game, the in-series adjustments that they made game to game to game to game. Obviously, you know what Rick Carlisle can do as a coach, but for the rest of the team to actually execute it on a beaten up Knicks team and to play it perfectly. I know you're not going to make all your shots like this historically every single game, but at the same time, they put themselves in a fantastic position to get those types of looks.
They end up shooting 67% for the game. 67% for the game
7
on the road. There's been so much talk about Tyrese Haliburton, especially when the Pacers were losing in the series at times. And it was like, oh, man,
is he
that guy? What's going on? Or is he the guy? Does he not have this? And we talked about some of the perceived weaknesses and understanding like this is the first time for him going through this.
Yeah.
He's got to learn from this. He's got to be more aggressive. And we both said he's better than he's playing right now. I think he's proving that. You could see his confidence go up in the last couple of games of this series. And I think that one of the more exciting things, if you're a Pacers fan, is the fact that some of the shots were him creating his shots. It wasn't like just catch and shoot and knocking down some transition threes. He was in the half court and he got to his right hand and was able to get some great looks. I thought he was fantastic being aggressive. And those are the signs as he continues to develop his game over the next couple of years, he does more of that. It's going to be scary for the league.
Because I think sometimes when he thinks of being aggressive, it's being aggressive, allowing the defense to collapse, and okay, now it's my turn to pass it out and find the open man. And it's, oh no, be aggressive and find yours. And I felt like there was a little bit more of a shift in this game 7 of be aggressive and find mine. Like he still had those moments. Like he had one where he was like, did like a 360 in the paint, like jumped up, left his feet, had the ball and had to find some open man because he was too far underneath the basket. Like those moments, those are all going to happen, of course. But it was so nice to see him really understand that he needed to turn it on and what that was going to do for the rest of this team if he was scoring as well. And it's great too, Deuce, because we got to this game 7 and we're not sitting here today going like, oh man, Rick Carlisle should have played more Obi Toppin and TJ McConnell.
Yeah.
I mean, that was after the first game when we saw such dominant play from those guys in the limited minutes that they were playing. And it was your stars started making the adjustments, so those guys got to continue to just play in their role, and you didn't have to rely on them.
And they played big in their roles too.
They did.
But for Haliburton to show that growth in series is significant for his future, significant for the Pacers' future, no doubt about it. And now you're starting to build those calluses, right? You work out a lot like me, getting ripped, right?
Oh my God, just ripped.
You build those calluses on your hands. You see these calluses?
Whoa,
all right?
My God.
That's not from playing one game.
Clanging and banging.
That's Tyrese is getting some calluses now, getting a game 7 experience.
Not literally, but yes.
The point is that experience matters so much for him and the Pacers long term. I also thought just the Pacers as a team showed growth. Aaron Nesmith, this guy was hitting shots. He had 19 points in this game, but his defense on Jalen Brunson in this series was fantastic.
Never let up. Never.
Picking him up the whole entire way, all series long. He takes that matchup. He knows Brunson is going to be physical. Yeah. He knows Brunson's going to try to sell contact. Like, it's tough. It's a really tough matchup for anybody. And I thought he did a great job with it. trying his best to stay out of foul trouble too.
Agreed, because I think that was something that you talk about an in-series adjustment. Yeah. It was him understanding that he's more valuable when he is out there able to play defense. We already know what Nembhard was doing on Jalen Brunson and what he wasn't capable of doing. It's Jalen Brunson. But with Nesmith, I thought he did a better job of using his size, using his physicality, staying up, and then playing a little bit more under control as this series went on. I think chaotic play from him, just bumping, just trying to see what he can get away with was going on at first. And that's great. Like, you want to set the tone, but sometimes it wouldn't allow him to be out there. And I thought now going into this game 7, he was all up in Jalen Brunson. And then on top of that, contributing on the offensive end, attacking, making his shots. It was a beautiful performance by Nesmith.
And when the Knicks made this a game again, you're wondering, all right, how are the Pacers going to handle it? I mean, this got whittled down to 4.
Oh, it was 4. I knew it was 6. But wow.
I think it was 4, right?
Either
6
way.
or 4.
Whatever.
I don't know. It got close again. Yeah. And the Garden's going crazy. Dante's doing a lot of yapping. He's feeling good. He had a great night. 39 points for him. But all right, are they going to fold under this? They didn't fold. They got plays. Mm-hmm. The Knicks made some crucial mistakes. A 5-second violation coming out of a timeout at one point. Like, there were just those crucial mistakes. And then the Pacers just played their game. I thought another major key in this game 7 was Miles Turner. His defense at the rim. I could not believe when Deuce McBride went to go challenge him on that dunk attempt.
Ooh.
Blocked it. But he had 4 blocks in this game, 17 points. He responded really well after that game 5 where he didn't play well. Hartenstein outplayed him. He showed up the last couple of games. Dude. It was just, you can go up and down the Pacers roster.
Yes. Everyone came to play. And that is, I think the narrative going into this game, if you were watching some of the national shows, was like basically when the Knicks win. It's game 7 at Madison Square Garden. They have Jalen Brunson. Of course they're not going to lose this one. And I think even for me, like, I had more confidence in the Knicks only because I just didn't know what type of Pacers team we were going to see today. Like, I've seen both now. I've seen Tyrese not step up. I've seen him step up. I've seen the way they're able to seek him out defensively, and try and go at him and try and get a bucket. And I just thought this entire team, how they played as a team together. Now, making shots is also going to help your energy as an entire team, but still, they kept it going. They never let up, even like you said, even when the Knicks started fighting back. Yeah,
the scoring was outrageous, up and down the starting lineup. You had all 5 guys in double figures. All 5 starters scored 17 or more. Nembhard had 20 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds in the game. And then off the bench, the guy that just brings it, you talk about consistency, TJ McConnell.
Every time.
I don't know that he can be underrated anymore because I think he's starting to get the appropriate amount of love, but he's done it for a long time. I feel like this year, his game went to another level. I remember the Pacers in Sacramento, and Tyrese didn't play. It was right after the Siakam trade. He had yet to make his debut, and TJ McConnell torched the Kings. And on one hand, you know, as Kings fans, like, everyone always torches the Kings. There's always some random guy. Sure. TJ's done this so many times where he just comes out there with energy on both ends. He can get to his spots. Great creator. He's a fighter.
Yep.
He goes at it defensively. He's not the biggest dude, but he's going to get into you. He's going to bump you. Not afraid of the moment. I think he's been so important to what they've been able to do in the playoffs. Even when there have been moments where maybe they're not getting enough early on from Haliburton, TJ stopped up. Like, he's been so important to what they've done this year.
Yeah, like you talk about his ability to find the open guy and to still create. I mean, he finished with 7 assists in this game along with his 12 points, right? So, like, it's not only him being able, like, he's capable of scoring at the rim and finding his way into the paint, getting that little jump shot. Like, all those things have kept evolving over this season, especially. But like you said, the toughness that he brings off the bench, it's a controlled toughness too. You talk about younger guys, Nesmith, Nembhard, you know, like those guys sometimes can be a little chaotic with their bodies or a little out of control at times, right? TJ McConnell, I feel like, is just always on the same level, never turn it off. And to have that type of player that is going to bring that and have that consistency, and you can always rely on him for that. I mean, that is so important, especially when you want to get to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Also, shout out to the rookie Ben Shepherd, got some big minutes in this Game 7. I just think he brings a level of toughness defensively that maybe some didn't expect from a rookie. I think he's going to be a really good rotational player for them going forward. So congrats to the Pacers advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals to take on the Boston Celtics. And I know everyone's like, oh, the Celtics are going to clean them up. Oh, the Pacers road. Look, has the Pacers road to the conference finals been easier because of the injury to the Bucks, right? Giannis, Dame, and then this series. Yes. But if you're a player on the Pacers, are you supposed to apologize? All you can do is play who's in front of you.
Yep.
And that's up to the front office going forward to be like, okay, we made it to the conference finals. Are we just going to run it back with this group?
Yeah.
Or are we going to add to this because we know these other teams could be healthier? Those are the conversations that can happen later. But for the actual guys in that locker room, who gives a shit?
Yep.
Now you go take on a Celtics team that Porzingis is going to be out to start, and another great experience. The fact of the matter of this, you are in the conference finals.
Hell yeah.
You're going to take it. And you don't have to apologize to anybody for that.
I agree, because I think, anybody that does want to just use that as their easy path of getting there, it's the NBA. It's still difficult. And on top of that, you did what you needed to do.
Yeah.
I think at one point in this game, it might have been at the half, you asked me, should the Pacers be up by more? Like, are we concerned that the Pacers aren't even up by more? And it's no, because you have two NBA teams qualified to be playing in this Game 7, one more beaten up than the other, but it doesn't make them bad. Like, there's still good players out there. And they had good players even coming off the bench, like Alec Burks.
Yeah, Burks was awesome. One more thing on the Pacers, though. I just want to wrap it up on this. I did not expect... The one thing that I think surprised me about this Pacers team is the level of toughness that I think they showed in the playoffs.
Yes.
And the Knicks being shorthanded, you knew they were going to play tough, right? That's in their DNA.
That's their identity.
I think there are some questions with the Pacers because we just haven't seen it consistently. Mm-hmm. You think about the Pacers team at the start of the year, they were scoring a bunch of points but couldn't really defend. We've seen more moments now against this banged-up Knicks team for sure, but we saw more moments of really good defense with physicality. And you could say the Knicks are shorthanded. Yes, we will acknowledge that. But if you're a bad defensive team, you can make even teams like the Knicks look amazing.
Yeah.
The fact is they played better defense. Their guys stepped up. The team defense was good from Turner. I saw a lot of good things from Siakam. We talked about Nesmith, Nembhard battling, TJ McConnell, Ben Shepherd. They became a team that could score 130 points and play no defense, and now they could still score 130 points and play better defense.
Yeah.
And that's what you need.
That's exactly what you need, again, to especially get to the Eastern Conference Finals.
All right, let's go to the Knicks now. I feel so bad for them because, again, OG comes back into Game 7. You're going, oh, man, could this be one of those heroic games? He hits his first 2 threes, can get into it. He ends up playing only 5 minutes. Then we find out Jalen Brunson leaves in the fourth quarter, fractures his hand. Of course, he's playing with a foot injury. Josh Hart playing this game with an ab strain. Are you kidding? They're already without Bojan Bogdanovic. They're already without Mitchell Robinson. Of course, Julius Randle's been out since January. I feel bad for them because it's just you do play the what if game of like, what if OG plays the entire series? You know, what if they were just had a couple of more bodies to go? And that's what's unfortunate about this. I will say this, I will forever respect this Knicks team as a basketball fan. The heart, determination, the grit that they showed, they never rolled over. How many times they could have just been like, we're done. Like, this is even today in this game.
Yeah.
They kept fighting to the damn end of the game.
All the way to the end. And I mean, that should be expected from athletes because you want everyone to have that competitive spirit. But that's not the way it goes at times, right?
Mentally taxing when you're losing guys, you're hurt.
Taxing.
Yeah.
But from the beginning, like Tibbs' identity, even how he coaches these guys, is there's no other standard. You stay up there, you're not going to be a part of this team or this organization or whatever. And so I loved the fight all the way through. I thought something that was interesting today, and we kind of touched on it a little bit, was just them defensively throughout the regular season, and then getting into the postseason. It just looked like so much more work, so much harder for them to play the same type of intensity, but they lost size, they lost bodies. I mean, their thing is always next man up mentality. There was no next man up. Like, there was no other body you could put out there that was going to be capable of playing basketball on both ends of the floor to match up well against this Pacers team, right? So, like, yeah, it was one of those things where I, like, in some ways, I'm like, oh, I would have loved to see more perimeter pressure or, a different type of physicality when TJ McConnell is coming through the middle of the paint. But, like, you can only ask so much of these bodies that were playing 40 minutes every single night.
It's almost like this needed to happen. Like, what I mean is them lose this game.
Yeah.
I mean, Brunson breaks his. I mean, there's just no way. Could you imagine this team having to play another 7-game series after this? It felt like they were doing everything they could to fight and claw to win this series.
Yep.
How much would they have had left in the tank against the Celtics? And of course, you lose Brunson to a fractured hand. I mean, good luck. Knowing him, he'd probably play game 3 in that series.
He would figure it out. He would figure it out. No, but it's truly, like, it was nice to see, like, again, someone like Dante DiVincenzo give it his all.
What a year for him.
And what a year for him, especially offensively, especially ever since his time with the Bucks, and then it's like
he had all those injuries there.
Exactly. And then it's like then he started figuring out maybe a little bit with the Warriors because he's learned so much from Steph Curry.
Yep.
And then to bring it with the New York Knicks and to really not only find the role that works best for him, but I think to even be able to contribute more than was even expected from him was great to see. And then throughout this entire series, the type of toughness that he brought, talking shit to Tyrese the whole time.
Those guys, that was so entertaining today. Haliburton early on was talking so much shit to the fans because they were going at him. I'm like, dude, the Pacers better win this game. Otherwise, egg all over his face. But he talks shit, back it up. But those two guys were going at it.
And it was fun to see. And I think it made you feel like, oh, it's not over yet. It doesn't matter. It's a 20-point game. It's not over. That's what Dante DiVincenzo really added today with his 39 points, 4 rebounds. He was 8 of 10 at the free throw line, 9 of 15 from 3-point land. So
insane game.
It kept this team in it, especially having that from your starting unit that lost someone like Jalen Brunson.
Alec Burks, by the way, 26 points off the bench after really not being a factor in this series until the last couple of games. So, yeah, it's tough. You do wonder what this looks like if the Knicks would have been healthy. Of course, the Knicks, 26-5 this year when OG plays.
Yeah.
I'm not going to count today. This is coming into today. And so, they got to figure out re-signing him over the offseason. Brunson looks like he is just elevated to one of the top players in the league. And I think they learned a lot about kind of what they have. Like Hartenstein's like a really good big. Josh Hart's a dog. You mentioned Dante. I feel like they have some good pieces. Now I think it's almost adding, can they get one more significant piece?
And I don't need to shit on Hartenstein right here because I think throughout this series and then also throughout this year, what we've seen from him has been fantastic. Taking a leap in his game where other teams are looking at him like, ooh, how do we get that? Today, 0 points in his 30 minutes, right? And he attempted 2 shots. And the only thing I don't like about that is that this team just needed more from him. And when I say more, like, he's a passing big. He only had 2 assists as well. Like, it felt like if they didn't have their floor manager out there being Jalen Brunson, he didn't know what he was doing. But he had 29 minutes with Jalen Brunson in this game. And I just thought that he could have contributed more as someone that has been such a force out there, and especially a force against these Pacers bigs.
Well, let us know how you felt about this 7-game series. Do you give the Pacers a shot in the next round? How are you feeling about Tyrese Haliburton? How are you feeling about the Knicks' future? Let us know in the comments below. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe.
Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, the podcast that you know.